As our world has changed, the flow of spirited sharing has decreased. Nuku is a resurgence of that flow. Derived from Papatoa Nuku, the word Nuku represents the ultimate female essence, the source of collective wisdom. It utilises multimedia platforms to share the stories of kickass Indigenous wahine doing things differently. Stories of women who do not conform to a mainstream image, but dare to carve their own unique portrait. Nuku has the ability to transform thinking, transfer knowledge across generations, and uncover layers to cultural identity. It serves to connect, collaborate, guide, entertain, and inspire. Today, I invite you, Indigenous wahine, to look at the world through a different lens, a lens made by and made for us. Mahine, mohine, kia hine.
And so in my small way, I hope that I'm adding to the conversation in a positive way, just from me being me, and not being ashamed of my body when I go out, not being ashamed to be in togs in summer, not being ashamed to be in colour so that everybody stares at me and I'm a big woman, not being ashamed to be in public and eat, not being ashamed to just be myself.
I'm not interested in raising a generation of leaders that stand at the front and look the part and then go out the back and have behaviour that's completely contradictory to what I've just said on the potty. That type of leadership for me is insufficient, ineffective, and no longer tolerable. Often I'm asked about the role of feminism because I'm in an empowerment program for wahine Māori. For me, that didn't exist up north. You were just who you were, and I could run as fast as any boy, and women in my family had businesses, and women were mothers, and we were nurturers, and we worked, and we were entrepreneurs, and we were businesswomen, and it's just who we were.
Wasn't really embraced or accepted by any of the communities that I was part of, so you're always an outsider. There really wasn't anyone that looked like me, and there wasn't anyone that had the story like mine. Like, the narrative that was centered in most popular culture was not a narrative that I could relate to.
I was creating a brand that had a very, very real Māori aesthetic and ethos, and that had never been. So it's often hard for people to understand something that has never existed. We were not considered fashion. Like, creatively, there were loads and loads of mistakes and failures and so forth, and they were the best. As I was failing and trying to create like maybe an image of something that I had in my mind, and it was just not that at all, it would turn into this other really cool thing, or it would turn into a mistake that taught me something. Every single time that you make something, it can be completely different, and there's always a way to be able to implement it into an overall aesthetic.
One of the biggest things for me was one of the rangatahi said, I was afraid of the system, and that was heartbreaking for me. We've got a system that was supposed to support us and that, but it's young people would rather be homeless. Be thinking about how we can utilise the land to develop and grow resources to generate income, food sovereignty or carbon credits, all these landscape architectural responses that are there. We just need to help navigate that.
When I had my children and when I began getting my ikura again, I wasn't happy with the options that there were for managing my period. Yeah, I have created underwear which hold and absorb your ikura. When we menstruate, that is our direct link to our whakapapa, to the whenua. Back in the day, when women were on their ikura, they used to sit out in the field and, bleed straight as a gift to Paputu Nuku, to the whenua. That was a connection to whakapapa.
I
really wanted people to learn the power of kai, and that actually this is Indigenous knowledge. Like, this is not anything fancy. Yes, we have studies and we have all these things now, but actually our tipuna did this naturally. It's real food and anybody can do it. Like, it's affordable. It's about giving people options and realizing that we don't have to be resigned to this life of metabolic disease.
I know that she didn't work in isolation. She was travelling with her husband to campaign for the Kotahitanga movement. I believe that that's where her political agenda would have started to then bring the case to the Māori Parliament about getting a woman's vote.
The stories that I heard in the karakia, they weren't just words that I had to remember or sit through and try not to fall asleep during. They were actually real things, and I started to see kind of like this was like a blueprint for health and well-being and how to live well, how to connect with people, with places. You know how you can best contribute to your whānau, to your community. In my opinion, like, that's how you live into your potential.
I think for me, if this movement can help spark a difference for, Māori Pacific Island women, again, going through that same street, just to, you can do what you want to do. You're amazing. Just go out and just, do it. Don't feel like constrained to what society may be telling you. Again, what that inner voice in your head might be telling yourself.
Kia ora, I'm Kiani. We live in a media-saturated world, but we're not exactly drowning in our stories. We all know Indigenous storytelling started in the stars, but like a night without stars, there was a blank space where our story should have been shining. So I invite you to come and hang out with me and some kickass Indigenous wahine. See how the world can be shaped by our voice, the unique picture that we see. Let us share who we are and not who we've been told to be. No mai, haere mai, and welcome to Nuku.